Welcome to October, one of the most bullish months historically for Bitcoin. And this is as Bitcoin, despite all of the FUD, the negativity, well, from other people, you know, not bull market EllioTrades. Despite all that negativity, we've seen September close one of its historically best months in the history of its life cycle. Check this out. Now, predictably, between the time I filmed this episode and now, we've had a massive pump on Bitcoin and a rejection. And many people are thinking, oh my God, October rally is canceled. Well, not so fast. Here's a little breakdown of price action from my good friend, Eric Crown, and it'll give you a little perspective that not only is the rally not canceled, but there is some hidden bullish divergence on the chart, meaning, hey, look, we could still be bullish.
So looking at the white move average right here, that is the daily 200 simple. And as you can see, so far has rejected price action. And as you probably have already noticed across all social medias, the hush of Bitcoin boo laws as Bitcoin bear laws start to rear their head and claim victory has emerged. But this is a pretty classic play in my experience, where you do see that first test into the 200 simple after a long period of consolidation as, generally speaking, a nice pushback area. But that pushback typically is an opportunity. So I do want to go at the outset of this video saying that, hey, while we do have these couple rejections right here, this one is different. The reason why it's different is because it is on a higher high. And that is combined with the fact that Bitcoin did put in a higher low right here as well. So, you know, we do have higher low right here. We do have higher high right here compared to this high. And of course, that would be the etchings of the beginning of an uptrend, further confirmed by the moving averages starting to coalesce within this region right here. That's the yellow 21 and the green 55 exponential moving average. And assuming that Bitcoin can essentially remain above, you know, especially the 55, but even the 21 in this case, which are more or less coalescing at that $27,000 region, I do look at this as, generally speaking, an opportunity, meaning that Bitcoin likely does put in a higher, put in another higher low right here on this pullback, and probably does march upwards and onwards from there. Can I be wrong about this? Yeah, absolutely. But that's just what I would be going off of as far as, the probabilistic setups do imply, which we'll go over a little bit later.
Now, I know what you're saying. TA is just astrology for men, but if that's the case, then burn me at the stake, fam, because I absolutely have found that good TA has a higher probability of being right than your gut. I don't know, the way you woke up, the mood you have, some news article that you read that may or may not even be real. Anyway, now that you see that this isn't necessarily the end-all be-all of bearish scenarios for October, we can resume the Uptober madness. Back to the video. Courtesy of TA statistician wizard Eric Crown, here's an interesting Bitcoin stat for you. Bitcoin has only closed September green 5 times in its history. Of those 5 times, Bitcoin has closed the following fourth quarter green every time, right? So if you're talking about from where we start Q4 today to the end of the year, every single time this has happened before, we've gone green, all right? And of those, 3 iterations saw all last 3 months green, meaning you just keep making money. You're so sick of making money. You're gonna get so absurdly effing rich in 3 months, you're gonna quit your job, quit your marriage, quit your life. That's what we're trying to say. That's what we're trying to say. No, not really. The fact is that this is just historically super bullish for Bitcoin. Whenever there's a green September, it's very good for the end of the year. And more to the point, the last 2 times this happened, the year before the halving, that's what we're in right now, it's been very, very bullish. So just understand, history doesn't necessarily repeat, but it sure as heck rhymes. And right now we're seeing a lot of that today. So as the King Corn here hangs on to 27,000, ever so slightly, just barely, the question is, where might this go? Where might this go by the end of October? Who knows? But I'll be here with you along for the ride. Now, of course, everyone will scream and echo, this time is different. And this time is different because we have, for the first time, $1.5 trillion in bond losses. This is crazy. Okay, listen to this. Losses on US treasuries have reached $1.49 trillion since the beginning of the rate raising environment that Jerome Powell has created since the end of 2021. This is absolutely insane. And all of this is showing up on the balance sheet of banks. So banks are currently sitting on paper losses of $1.49 trillion, or pretty much rounded up, $1.5 trillion. And so the Treasury is set to raise issuance of USTs, sell off. As yields push higher, this hole will get bigger. So again, here's what's happening. We're seeing finally long-term yields start to explode. You see the 10-year here breaking out of a trend line that it's been in here since 84. 84? Are you kidding me? Since the 1980s, it's been in this descending trend line. The 10-year US Treasury yield has broken out of a, 300 years or something that it's been in this trend line. I'm just kidding. It's like 40 years. But anyway, in just 24 months, the world went from borrowing at 0.5% spread to a 5% spread. Absolutely crazy. Another thing to focus on is you see that this yield curve is uninverting. It's re-steepening, right? So this is the part that precedes the recession. As soon as it gets back to the zero line, that's usually when you get some kind of recession. You also have old Janet yelling about a recession, saying that if there is a government shutdown, which we were able to avoid for just a few weeks here, that we could see a recession. So October, recession. Is this time different? We will find out together. Again, for me, the question of this time is different is always on the table. In 2017, there was this time is different. Now we get the macro, this time is different. There are so many things that people use to justify this time being different, and very well might be. But for me, the risk of not being allocated to what could potentially be the safe haven asset class, the new digital gold, as we potentially enter into a period of stagflation, or as we enter into a new period of money cannon, money printing to try to buoy the American economy through these difficult times. The question for me is this time the time that you don't want any exposure to Bitcoin? Again, should you be putting every single dollar you have into the industry? Probably not. That would probably make you very stressed out. However, is it something that you should be allocated to? I mean, my personal approach is yes. I believe that the opportunity for Bitcoin to teleport up, using Ivan on text language, to teleport up to extraordinarily higher values is there, especially as we're looking at the Bitcoin ETF coming in. They're financializing Bitcoin, whoever they are, they're financializing Bitcoin at this exact moment. They want it. They want to have access to it. And granted, it certainly seems like they're splitting off the free coins from, the guarded coins, the good cryptos from the bad cryptos, trying to draw a line in the sand there. And it'll probably be the case that they don't want you owning your own crypto. They want you owning their ETFs and stuff. That's its own system of control. But for me, the question is, will Bitcoin skyrocket in price? It's almost impossible to think that it won't. And to me, it also seems crazy that everyone and their grandma will get this great entry price into the Bitcoin ETF. I mean, why would that be the case? That people would let, all the normies get the good price instead of front running that? You gotta believe, or at least I feel, that there's a good likelihood that that'll get front run. That said, this time is different. We have a potential looming astronomical widespread asset bubble recession. You have the housing crisis. Housing looks like it's just about to crumble. I don't know, man. There's a lot of swirling different pieces of the pie. But what I do is I put my head down and I continue to stick to my system, my dollar cost average, because I see a lot of bullish tailwinds. Usually the economy does extremely well in election years. Usually the crypto economy does extremely well in halving years. To me, it's a question of continuing to stick to the plan, and that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Again, right as FTX is beginning his trial, we see the FTX exploiter. I don't know if you guys remember this, but FTX had this massive exploit where all these funds were stolen right as the thing was going bankrupt. Obviously, it screams inside job. I mean, I don't know if it's an inside job, but it certainly seems extremely fishy. The timing of it all. They've just moved $17 million in ETH over the last 24 hours through Thorchain, where essentially they cross-chain rooted it to Bitcoin. That's what's been going on. And this is kind of a theme here, how Thorchain or just exploiters in general tend to wash their coins into Bitcoin, I guess, because it's harder to send, in their mind, it's, I guess, more likely to be censorship resistant or something like that. I don't know why you'd choose Bitcoin over ETH, but that's what they're doing. And again, the question of, are we entering into an exponential age? I think we are. It's not going to happen immediately. You see Microsoft here forming a nuclear power team to support AI. You see AI and crypto are both going to drive forward all kinds of innovation in different types of energy management. And whether it's for mining crypto or whether it's for processing the vast majority of AI data that's extremely energy intensive and compute resource intensive, this stuff is the story of how we revolutionize our energy in light of new technologies. It's a super important story to keep your eyes on, and one that shows you how 10 years from now is going to look wildly different. Remember. And speaking of wildly different, we have Brazil rolling out their blockchain-based digital IDs. Now, you saw the video I just put out on digital IDs and CBDCs. Make no mistake, this is the newest and truest system of control, one which has horrific and dystopian forward-looking consequences if it falls into the wrong hands. Of course, only the right and the just and the virtuous would bring forth a system like this, but what happens if someone is not virtuous, is not just, and chooses to use those systems of control for negative things? Well, we will find out, but I think that this is something that will be the big story of the next 10 years. Digital IDs, digital chips, CBDCs, complete and utter destruction of privacy and self-sovereignty in the name of progress. These are things that we must be keeping our eyes on. And speaking of which, it's a perfect time to talk about the thing that you can do to make yourself safer online and protect your privacy with just a few clicks. And that is, of course, signing up right now with NordVPN. NordVPN is the sponsor of this show, and it's a product I use each and every day. Right now, I'm using it to protect my data, to control who has access to my IP address, and most importantly, using their threat protection product to control who has access to my personal data. This is something that has deeply affected my life. I was recently hacked. You guys all know about that. And I wish I would have used this product nonstop in the lead up to that event. I promise you that this is the cheapest and most efficient way that you can gain a new layer of privacy on the internet. They have a 30-day money-back guarantee, and if you sign up with my link in the description, you get a big, fat, juicy discount. And so, my friends, what are you waiting for? Sign up for NordVPN. Not only is it an absolute must if you're browsing the world, and especially using cryptocurrency in 2023, you need to protect yourself, your data, so you don't become the victim of the next phishing link, the next SIM swap, the next malicious attack, where there are increasingly more and more people looking to rip off crypto users. You are a target, unfortunately, if you're in crypto, and NordVPN is a simple way that you can keep yourself safe. I will be coming out with a lot of episodes on other ways that you can protect your data and generally protect yourself from malicious actors in the space. But for now, this is the easiest thing you can do. It's just a few bucks per month. And on top of that, it supports this channel and helps me build out my research team so that as we come into this next bull market, we can have the absolute best media, not just in the space, but in the entire financial world. So as always, we thank NordVPN, and I appreciate you guys supporting. And final piece of news, we have VanEck, who's proposing to donate 10% of profits from their Ether ETF to core developers. This is pretty cool right here, because effectively you have VanEck who's trying to bring forward an Ethereum ETF product. Again, we don't know if it'll get approved or not. I have a feeling it's a question of when, not if, definitely after the Bitcoin ETF. But at some point I could definitely see Ether with an ETF, and God knows what that would do for our beloved Ether bags. I'm sure they would get sent to 5 figures with haste. That's my personal approach. Again, do your own research. As always, it's an eventful day in crypto land. I believe that there are some things to be focused on, but most of those things lead to a massive money cannon. And in general, I do believe that there is a lot of reason to think we'll have an absolutely ripping bull run in the time before the world ends. But again, we'll be keeping you up to date. I'm sticking to my DCA strategy. If you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to click on this one. It's even better than the video just watched. If you liked it, go ahead, smash that like button. If you didn't like it at all, hit that dislike button. I promise I can handle it. I'll see you on the next episode.